Welcome to Freshman Film Room. This is the series finale, and ironically, we're wrapping things up with a transfer, not a freshman. In any case, the concept is the same. Breakdowns on UMass's incoming transfers for next season, analyzing some strengths and weaknesses and potential fit from a sample of 5 or 6 games. I'm not a scout, this is not definitive, yada yada yada. These videos are still just meant as primers ahead of next season. Today, we'll look at Mark Gasperini. A 6'10", 245-pound center transferring from American University, Gasperini was born in Russia but moved to the US when he was 10. He played his prep ball at Woodstock I'm just kidding. He went to Brimmer in May and Chestnut Hill. Gasperini comes to UMass as a grad transfer with 1 year of eligibility. I feel I should mention before we start that all of these clips actually come from Gasperini's junior season at American rather than his senior year, just because that's all I could find. I'm sure it doesn't really matter, but in the interest of full disclosure. This will probably be the shortest offensive portion of any of these breakdowns because Gasperini does literally one thing. When American threw him the ball down low, Gasperini would back his guy down and put up a hook shot. A back down and a hook shot. A back down and a hook shot. A back down and a hook shot. I'm of course just kidding about him doing literally one thing, but if I had to guess, about 70% of his baskets come from hook shots, and he's pretty effective with it. He hits them with impressive efficiency, he can make them with his right hand and his left, and it's a very difficult shot for guys to block. Otherwise, Gasperini is a pretty mobile guy at 6'10 and 245, and looks pretty smooth at times driving to the basket when he has a runway to the rim. He's a really good finisher. Hook shots aside, he's got really nice touch with his layups around the basket. He's pretty crafty with getting position inside too. Sometimes guys will overplay him a bit too much and he can seal them off and get easy layups for his troubles. I was really impressed by Gasperini's passing, something Matt McCall always talks about wanting out of his frontcourt players. In American's Princeton-style offense, Gasperini thrived on finding guys cutting to the basket or hitting open shooters out of the post. He'd constantly get the ball near the elbow and throw these slick passes for easy layups for his teammates. The main downside for Gasperini offensively is that he does not shoot threes. That's just not a thing he does. He attempted exactly 3 from deep this season and 7 all of last season. Maybe McCall will just lock him in the gym and make him shoot them. He at least tried to take them when he was a freshman, but I wouldn't expect to see him hitting corner threes and spacing the floor next season. But, truthfully, I don't think that's why UMass brought him in. To me, Gasperini's most important attribute as far as this UMass team goes is his experience, and that's why they dipped into the transfer market to get a big man. Put it to you this way. If you take UMass's eligible roster for next season and exclude just Carl Pierre and Debaji Walker, you've got 9 guys. Those 9 guys, who make up 75% of the roster, have played a combined total of 95 collegiate basketball games ahead of next season. Mark Gasperini has played 88 on his own. We all talked about how young UMass was all the time last season, and the reality is, they're still young. But having another guy with a few years of college experience like Gasperini can go a long way in tying things together. As a post defender, Gasperini's really solid. At 6'10 and 245, he can hold his own inside. He's not a particularly great shot blocker, but he can hang with guys on the block and make those shots difficult. It's hard for me to evaluate his perimeter defense, though I do think he struggles defending smaller guards. I just don't think that's what he does. It's tough to say because of the way American defended pick and rolls. They just hard-hedged the living hell out of everything and never switched with their bigs, so there aren't a ton of examples of him defending guards or wings. Though, when he did end up in that position, for one reason or another, it didn't really seem to go all that well. But again, I just don't think that's what he does, and I don't think UMass will be switching 1 through 5 when he's on the floor. The other downside I have with Gasperini is that he's not a particularly strong rebounder. Not a bad one, just not a great one. He grabbed about 5 a game last season, which is fine, but it's not a great mark, especially in a Patriot League that isn't exactly filled with 6'11 super athletes, and I also don't think it's great that that number was matched by America's point guard, Saeed Nelson. I think that just comes from the fact that Gasperini isn't really a great athlete. He's very mobile, especially in the way he moves on and off the ball offensively, but he's not particularly explosive. He can move for a big guy, I just wouldn't expect him to be exploding off the floor for alley-oops or dunking on guys going baseline. So, let's recap. Mark Gasperini is just a good, solid big man. He can score inside, having put up about 9 points per game for American last season in only about 20 minutes a night. His go-to move is a very good hook shot, which he can hit with his right and his left, and that opponents have a lot of trouble stopping. He's a very good finisher inside, and has nice touch around the basket. He's an excellent passer for a big man and found cutters with regularity in American's Princeton offense, and is pretty mobile at 6'10 and 245. He's got the sort of size that UMass needed in another big man and can hold his own as a solid post defender. Perhaps most importantly, he brings a ton of collegiate experience that UMass really needed to bolster its roster for next season. On the flip side, Gasperini won't really space the floor as a non-shooter. Maybe that'll be worked on, but for now, he does not shoot threes. He struggles to stay in front of wings and guards if he's forced to switch, and he's not a particularly strong rebounder for a big man. He's also not a super explosive athlete, mobile as he may be. I don't think this one is complicated. Gasperini is just a solid, fundamental big man who will probably just slide in to take Tajiri Baptiste minutes as backup big or alongside Trey Mitchell in bigger lineups. The floor and ceiling here is kind of the same because Gasperini is a known quantity. In an interview with Howard Herman of the Berkshire Eagle, Gasperini said, quote, "I'm looking forward to being able to make my role whatever it needs to be, adjust to what the team needs." A solid, experienced big man who knows his role is exactly what UMass needed to round out the roster, and in Mark Gasperini, that's what they got. Thanks for watching. You can follow the Collegian on Twitter at MDCollegian and at MDC_sports and myself at Amin_Tori, and you can find all of our content at dailycollegian.com. This is the last of these videos, so I need to run through a few thank yous. Thanks first and foremost to Felicia Cordy, without whom these videos never would have been possible. Thanks to Chris Tucci and Parker Peters, whose photos have been used throughout the series, and also to Matt Hood and Riley Ubben for always being willing to send me photos on short notice because I am dumb and ask for things late. Thanks to Tom Haynes for letting me run with this weird idea back in the fall without really explaining what it was. Thanks to my mom, just because. And lastly, thank you to all of you for watching, sharing, and interacting with these videos. They're quite the undertaking, so I always appreciate all of you watching and saying nice things about them. I hope you've enjoyed watching them as much as I've enjoyed making them. Otherwise, that's it from me. Thanks everyone. It's been fun.